GoForThe2.com. These are our Week 10 predictions. We apologize for abbreviated versions. We're just going to give you the predictions right now due to Hurricane Sandy. Once the power does resume to the tri-state area, hopefully by the end of the weekend, early part of next week, we'll kick off Week 11 with a deeper podcast like we normally do. So just bear with us. It's been tough sledding the whole step of the way, but our thoughts and prayers are out to everybody that's been affected by the hurricane. All right, let's get right into it. Week 10 predictions. Let's talk right now about Louisville playing Temple. Louisville has had some close scares. Last week against Cincinnati, they pulled out a 3-point victory. The week prior, they had a tough, close game at home against South Florida. Temple was beat up on the road at Pittsburgh. Now they travel to Louisville. In my estimation, Teddy Bridgewater, Charlie Strong, that offense with Sonoris Perry and Jeremy Wright, way too much. That offensive line led by Mario Benavides. Louisville, in my estimation, the best team in the Big East. They're proving it. I know they're winning close games, but the bottom line is they're undefeated and they are winning. I expect a dominating performance out of the Louisville Cardinals. You will see the true Louisville Cardinal team this weekend. They get a dominating performance at home over Temple, 40-10 over the Temple Owls. So Louisville picks up another victory and moves a step closer to a possible BCS game down the road. We'll have to see. They have a November matchup with a very tough Rutgers team, so we have to see how that plays out. But Louisville gets a dominating home win this weekend, 40-10. West Virginia, everybody loved them 5 weeks ago. They would talk about Geno Smith winning the Heisman Trophy. He didn't turn the ball over. And then he faced Texas Tech, and all of a sudden his Heisman Trophy candidacy fell a little bit. Then they got dismantled by Kansas State. Well, they were off last week. Now they have a chance to regroup. They face a very tough TCU team. However, TCU last 3 opponents, Baylor, Texas Tech, and Oklahoma State. All 3 offenses are very up-tempo. All 3 offenses love to go vertical in terms of very fast-paced. They love to throw the ball sideline to sideline. West Virginia is going to do the same. Also going to try to get the ball vertical. This is a very long road trip for TCU. West Virginia coming off a week to prepare for this ball game. I like the Mountaineers to show their true colors. I think that you will see a dominating effort out of Dana Holgorsen, Geno Smith, and the offense. I'm calling for a dominating victory by West Virginia, calling for a 45-17 victory at home to pick up the victory against TCU. Syracuse, they're starting to gel. They had a come-from-behind win last week against South Florida. The week before, they beat Pittsburgh. Cincinnati lost back-to-back games both to Toledo, and they had a very tough Friday night road loss at Louisville. Now they're still going with, Butch Jones still says he's going with Munchie Legault at quarterback. Munchie Legault has struggled in the passing game. He hasn't completed a lot of passes. He hurt them last week in terms of completing some deep balls, missed on some deep balls that could have gotten the victory at Louisville for Cincinnati. Syracuse has been gelling. They have a very senior type of offense led by Ryan Nassib, calling for the upset in Cincinnati. Syracuse puts together 3 straight victories. Like Doug Marrone and the offense, the way he's getting going, the defense has been impressive the last few weeks. I like Syracuse to get the road victory, calling for a 30-17 Syracuse victory over Cincinnati. One more team. Let's talk about, we already talked about it in our podcast, Oklahoma State. I think they play closer than a lot of people think. They're playing Kansas State and Colin Klein. Kansas State, they're rolling, but I think that Oklahoma State will test the secondary of Kansas State. I think Kansas State wins, but only by a touchdown. Oklahoma State plays it tough, but they lose 27-20. I'm calling for the upset 17-14 with LSU. They've had a week off to prepare. Alabama fans hate me. They stopped subscribing to the videos. I apologize, but if I think Alabama can lose, I'll say it. This is their toughest matchup to date. If you're an Alabama fan, you worry about LSU. You know that. You want to beat them, but it does scare you that LSU has had a week off to prepare both offensively and defensively. defensively, and never underestimate the hat, even though Nick Saban's the best coach in the country and A.J. McCarron is my Heisman Trophy candidate going into this ball game. I'm calling for the upset. LSU gets the victory 17-14 under the lights and moves to 23 straight home victories. Craziness happens in Baton Rouge. Expect another wild LSU-Alabama affair. This time, LSU does it again in back-to-back regular seasons. They knock the Tide off from the ranks of the unbeaten, 17-14. One more game that we're going to talk about right now, Oregon and USC. USC's looked absolutely terrible over the last couple of weeks. They're so undisciplined. I said Lane Kiffin has done less with more than any coach in 1A. He has top 5 talent. However, he does not show that in his coaching ability. He's not a motivator. His teams have been lackluster. Marquise Lee had 345 yards receiving. They had a 28-13 road lead, and they let it surrender and lost 39-36. Now they come back home, and they face number 2 ranked Oregon and Chip Kelly. The offense is hitting on all cylinders. Chip Kelly's played the second teamers in most of these games to build up depth and experience. I think Oregon blows out USC. I don't see it. I think that Oregon gets the road victory, even though with a redshirt freshman, I'm not sold on Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin right now, he's not a motivator. His team hasn't bought in. They're lackluster. I don't care if they beat Oregon last week. Oregon's much more disciplined than USC. They'll be up for this game. They're going to want to steamroll Matt Barkley and company, and I think you'll see Oregon's true colors in this game. Kenyon Barner and the offense explodes for a 50-20 victory on the road at USC. One more game, that a team that impressed me last week was the Ole Miss Rebels. They went on the road. I know they played out Arkansas, but they played a very tough physical defensive game plan against Tyler Wilson and company. They created turnovers in the secondary, and they got the victory over Arkansas. They now travel in back-to-back road games to play Georgia, coming off a very emotional victory over Florida. I know Georgia was up for that game. I called for the upset in Jacksonville. Now they have to come back and play a very gritty Ole Miss team. I think Ole Miss and Bo Wallace can move the ball on Georgia. I'm looking for a very sloppy game. I think Ole Miss will be in it, but in the end, Georgia wins by a field goal. I like the Georgia Bulldogs to beat Ole Miss, but only by a field goal, as Ole Miss gives Georgia all it can handle off the emotional victory last week against Florida. So there's the picks and predictions. I hope you like them. I don't know. Some fans will love me. Some fans will hate me. I got the predictions out through the hurricane, so bear with me. Stay with us at GoForThe2.com.